Welcome back to Monroe Musings. I'm Dr. Krystal Kohlberg, and today we're kicking off a new series focused on relationships, specifically how high-performing couples can optimize their partnerships the same way they optimize everything else in their lives. If you're someone who invests in business coaches, performance training, and personal development, but you've been hoping your relationship will just figure itself out, this episode is for you. We're diving into why your relationship isn't separate from your success, the foundation of it. And we're talking about how understanding your unique operating systems through the lens of human design, sports psychology, can transform friction into flow. This isn't about fixing broken relationships. It's about taking something that's good and making it exceptional. Let's dive in. Welcome back to Monroe Musings. I am so excited to have you here today. You might have noticed when I talk about my work that I say that my goal is to help you optimize your performance in the most personalized way possible in your work, in your love, and in your life. And so what we're going to do for a little while is pivot to talk about the love, the relationships, because I think there's an epidemic of loneliness, which is a whole other topic we will get to, I assure you. Connection and relating were a huge part of what came up in my dissertation research, in my research on optimism. So I know that it contributes to our well-being because optimism contributes to our well-being. We hear people say things like that the quality of your relationships determines the quality of your life. So I really want to focus on this relational aspect, this connection aspect, because my work truly, it helps you develop your self-awareness and take that intentional action. You really do learn how to understand yourself better, show up better as more yourself, take away all these pieces and parts that you've kind of like accumulated, the conditioning, the layers of protection that you've put on because you had to, right? As a baby, we need others for survival. That connection it doesn't just feel good. It isn't just like nice for our well-being. It is literally survival because we can't get our own food. We can't get our own needs met without someone else helping us. So we learn to adapt to whatever it is that our caretakers basically required of us. We learned to manipulate has a really negative connotation, but essentially we learned to accommodate them, right? We abandoned ourselves because we needed to survive. And in order to survive, we had to adapt to whoever was going to meet our survival needs. And so while a lot of the work I do is that deconditioning, it's coming back to your true authentic self. And I do that. Most of that work is through human design and some other like parts work stuff. But truthfully, everything is relational. And I believe once you understand yourself and how unique you are and how differently you operate and how you were wired that way, I was actually just listening to some podcast episodes recently that were some Esther Perel and some of the Gottmans and some other episodes on relationship stuff. And it's so important that we figure out how to connect with others. And I do think that it is important that we are connected to ourselves first and that we understand our own unique stuff before we're trying to understand somebody else. That way we know who am I and where do I start and where do I end? Sort of we like find our space and we know what is true for us so that we don't end up in those people pleasing tendencies and we don't over adapt to other people still. We heal that a little bit, at least a little bit, if not, I don't know if I think we're ever fully healed, nor do I think that would be boring if there was never any more growth to do. But I also think we just need to live our lives. And you have to be able to find the balance in that. You have to be able to understand and accept paradox. It's not optional. And so anyways, what I'm getting at with all of this rambling is our relationships determine the quality of our life. And if we understand ourselves and how we relate to others, and if we have this understanding of how other people operate differently, and we can make that okay, our relationships are going to thrive. Now, here's the thing. I am not a licensed psychologist. I'm not a counselor. I'm not a therapist. I'm a coach. And so I don't have people come to me because, they're at their wits' end and they're like on the brink of divorce or they have some huge problem. It's not that. It's you're good together. You feel like you could get each other more deeply or everything's okay, but you're just like, I want that edge. You're like, I get the coaches in business. I've had the mental stuff and I've had the physical stuff and I've had the business stuff and I know and I invest in all of these things so that I can excel. But I haven't done that in my relationship. Or you've tried that in all those areas and you've tried that in the relational aspect, but you still always felt like at least one of you is wrong. Like one of you is doing the thing wrong. One of you needs to be more like the other. And maybe you're the one who thinks you're like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I just be like them? Or what's wrong with them? Why can't they just be more like me? And I'm not just talking about like how the dishwasher gets loaded, okay? Because I get it. And my point is, there are ways that we are all uniquely wired to do things. And maybe you and your partner have opposite wirings. And maybe you need to learn how to honor those and figure out how your relationship can be enhanced. How can you lean on them when it's their strength? And how can they lean on you when it's your strength? And how can you support each other and whatever it is, not only your relationship goals together, but your individual goals. How can you support each other and going and after each of your dreams and then also your dreams together? If you're both crushing it, you're smart and you're driven and you're successful and you put all this effort and money and investment and time into, being the best version of yourselves, but you want it to be together and you feel like it could be and it should be more cohesive and you just know you need an edge. It could be something as simple as maybe you make decisions like split second decisions. Or maybe your partner does, and you're the opposite. Maybe you need to sleep on them. So you guys have to learn to navigate. Does this decision have to be made right now? If yes, maybe you lean into the partner who has the immediate decision making system. If it doesn't have to be made right now, maybe you learn to hear out the instant decision making partner and they need to allow the other partner their time to process. We aren't here to fix broken relationships. We're here to take good and make it exceptional. We're here to optimize. And if you think optimize means burnout, you're missing the point here. Everything I do is to avoid friction and avoid burnout. And everything I do here is to reduce the friction and reduce the burnout. Here's the thing. Cookie cutter approaches just don't work. If you're following advice that says something like this, find someone who has what you want and do what they did. Don't do that. If you find someone who tries to tell you you both need to function in the same way, don't do that. You need a personalized approach. You are unique individual beings and you deserve to be treated that way. I combine my decade plus of studying human performance, my doctorate in sport and performance psychology, with human design, with parts work, with all these modalities that really help hone in on how do you optimize performance and how do you personalize that for you. So I want that for you as a partnership. So you understand each other and how you interact together. And I want you to feel this shift from you're doing it wrong to you're doing it differently. I don't want you to abandon yourself anymore for any relationship. High performing teams, which you are a high performing team, right? They don't make everyone play the same position. Everyone plays to their strengths. When I played water polo, I was not a goalie. I don't want to be a goalie. I don't want the ball flying at my face, even though it shouldn't be going at my face. It should be going around my face. I didn't like that. I don't want that position. That was not for me. In softball, I didn't play infield. I didn't like second base or shortstop. I don't like that. That was not where I was optimal. I could learn the position and I could understand it and I knew what my teammate needed to do to be successful in their spot, but they were the expert at that. That was their specialty. I want your high performing team, your high performing relationship to be the same way. You understand each other, you meet each other's needs where possible. There is none of this like your partner is responsible for meeting every single one of your needs. No, but They should understand your needs. They should be able to honor your differences, and you should be able to support each other in the direction you're going, and you should both be heading there together. So I love human design. You'll hear me say it a bajillion times because it's a system that helps you understand how you are wired to make decisions, how you are wired to communicate, how you process energy, and how you energetically show up, and what strategies help you thrive and align with your purpose, how you are wired to learn, how you move through the world in the best way possible, in the most easeful way possible. And it also tells us which areas you're likely to be taken off track. And then when we get into the relationship aspect, we're looking at how your partner might influence you in certain spaces. And it's just so important for us to understand these things about ourselves and our interactions and our relationship so we can support each other and be okay with each other's differences. Now, I want a huge caveat here because if you are listening and you are single or you're dating and you're not quite sure, if you're not in a long term committed partnership already, I'm speaking to you right now. I don't want you to use human design to pick your partner. Now, I say that and I want you to hear me out. I do have preferences, so I get it, but meet people first, get your feelings for them first, feel the vibes out. And if and when you feel like it's feeling like it's going in a good direction, then learn their human design. Okay. This is not a first date, what's your time, date, and place of birth type of question. Please don't do that. Please don't. Okay. I said it. My methodology with sports psychology plus human design is for relationship optimization that doesn't put you in boxes, that lets you come out of the boxes, lets you show up as your full self. From experience, I've only met one person ever romantically who I could be my full self with. There's usually pieces or parts of myself that were still too scary to show to them. And part of that was on me, right? I hadn't done enough work to be okay with losing the wrong fit. I so wanted to be chosen that I was willing to hide this part or hide this part or this thought or this belief or this need because I thought I would lose them. And in fact, I was losing myself in the process. And we don't want that. You want your whole self to come up to be in the relationship, and you want your partner to feel the same way. Now, some examples of this and the following episodes, because we're going to dive into this in the nitty gritty over time. We're going to go into the different pieces of the chart and how you might be different and how different people learn and how people's energy functions differently. But I think to start, what you really need to understand is some people, their energy is like an energizer bunny when they love what they're doing. And some people are really independent and they feel very whole by themselves. And other people really do need connection or energy from others to make them feel whole. Some people learn through books and some people learn through trial and error. And some people are going to change their personality a lot depending on who they're around. And some people are solid in that. Some people have endless ideas. Some people, they have this strong ego, and not in a conceited way, a strong ego in that they're confident in themselves. They know their worth. They don't waver in that. They don't need other people to validate them. And some people don't have that. Most people don't have that, actually. Some people have areas of their chart that will speak to how they might be a little bit more of a people pleaser, and other people don't have that. Some people have areas that are going to show, why they take on stress and why they feel rushed and anxious, and other people are going to be like, don't have that. It's all in there. And I think it's so helpful when we understand our partners. We understand where they're more likely to struggle. We understand how they are wired to do things. Are they wired to make fast decisions? Do they need to verbally process? That's me. Do they need to feel things out in different spaces with different people? Do they need to move around a lot? Do they need to get energy out? Do they need to go to bed feeling completely spent? Human design even speaks to, and I might lose a lot of you with this, but the possibility of sleeping in separate beds, whether that's always or sometimes, or just having a guest bed, having a conversation about sometimes needing that sleep in your own energy field without being able to just take everybody else's stuff out for the night. Okay. And I actually understand that. So I just don't want there to be any more of this, you're too compulsive and or you take too long to make decisions or why do you need to be around me so much or you know you don't really seem to even need me around at all, right? These are areas of our charts where maybe we're opposite. You need to learn that we get to the same goal, but we might do it in different ways. I want you to be able to work with each other instead of against each other. I want you to operate in your strengths and not abandon yourself. You're not wrong. I want you to turn up the heat in your income and your impact and your intimacy. When your relationship thrives, everything else will thrive too, or the things that don't thrive won't matter as much because your relationship is solid, where you come home to feel solid. Your soul has a place to rest and feel safe. Because here's the thing your, I'm going to say it again, the quality of your relationships equals the quality of your life. And everything I'm teaching also really works for friendships. I love knowing my friends' designs. I love understanding the way that they tick and the way that they make decisions and what feels good for them and what they may or may not want to do or how they may or may not show up or how far out they want to commit or how to ask them questions in a way that helps them come to their own answers. And it just feels like a much more supportive and reciprocal relationship when we understand each other's optimal way of performing, optimal way of showing up, how we thrive. I don't want for the people I love to just be surviving, and so many people are just surviving. I want them to thrive. And if I can play a part in that by understanding them better and having them letting them have a space where they get to show up fully and be their own weird, unique self, then that makes me so happy. That makes me have higher quality relationships. Now, I am talking about romantic partnership, but I want you to know as you learn these things, they apply everywhere. We are relational beings. Essentially, the research shows that happily partnered people are healthier by a lot of measures than single people. And then single people are healthier than unhappily partnered people. And when it comes to entrepreneurship, in some studies, people have said, their spouse, their partner, 84% of entrepreneurs say they lean on their partner for the emotional support. And entrepreneurs were also 10% more likely to get divorced. When entrepreneurs felt more supported by their partner, they were more likely to persevere, to be resilient, to stay motivated through the hardships. And while that research is on entrepreneurship, I would say that it suggests that even in our career, no matter if we work for ourselves or for someone else, that that relational support at home trickles out everywhere. We are not like isolated people. We are not like work this and then family that. And then like we are one person. And so we can do our best to leave stuff behind and, leave it at the door and not bring it home. And maybe you don't vent about it, but it's affecting your being. And so if your time at home and your relationship at home, those things that should be permanent and the places where we feel supported and where we recharge, if that's not a place for us to feel supported and recharge, everything's going to fall. So, your relationship quality, it doesn't just impact your happiness. It impacts your health, your well being, your longevity, potentially your lifespan. So, I just want to be clear it's not just about being in partnership, it's about being in a healthy, thriving partnership. I want your partnership to feel like home, to feel like it expands you, to feel like it's the place you get to be your own unique, weird self and that it's supported and your partner gets you. I want your partner to get you. And I want you to feel like you get to make decisions in the way you were meant to make them and that you learn how to integrate this into your life. One of the things I've seen and I've experienced myself where one person doesn't believe in growth, doesn't believe in change or any of these things. They just don't believe in it. I'm sorry, but I'm not the coach for you. If you're in a relationship like that, you're going to have to decide what your values are, honestly. You can work on you and hope maybe someday that they'll join along. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. I don't work with people who don't want to work, who don't want to grow, who don't want to understand. I just don't. I can't. It's so important that if you're working with me as a couple, you're both into this. You don't have to be the same level of into it. And maybe one of you's more into the performance psychology stuff, and maybe one of you's more into the human design stuff. Totally makes sense. But you have to both be willing to learn and grow, and you want to. Why would you not want that for yourself, for your partnership, to understand It's like, I feel like we so often think that we should just know these things, right? We want our partner to just know what we need, to just know what we want. We read these books where the characters are like, I know what you want. I know what you need. But like, sometimes we need to, actually get to know each other. And sometimes we have to verbally say it. And sometimes we need some help to give the languaging around what those needs are and what those wants are. And so if you're in a partnership where you're both committed to growth and you want to understand these way more nuanced, personalized approaches, I offer a Find Your Flow in Love relationship optimization session. It's 90 minutes. We go through your chart, we look at your individual differences, we work through how you can integrate that into your life, into your relationship, and support each other through it. And we look at some of the areas you might be more likely to be taken off track. If you're curious about any of those things and you're already ready to dive in, the link's below. If you want to see what I had to say about how your human design can speak to foreplay, I have a spicy Substack on that topic. I will also link below. And if you want more topics like that, I'm happy to do so. Let me know if that piques your interest. And then look for the upcoming podcast episodes because I'm going to go piece by piece, part by part through the chart and show where these differences are. And maybe as you hear, like, oh, that sounds like me, and oh, that sounds like my partner, maybe you guys can just have some conversations about the ways in which you are different. I just want you to approach your relationship like you approach everything else in business, in life, in performance, in sport, in health. You optimize those things. You look to experts for answers. You figure out what works for you. Your relationship is no different. I hope you will choose to look at your relationship like a high performing team of people with specialized gifts and strengths who come together to make something even better. Thank you for joining me on this episode. I hope you're looking forward to this as much as I am. Please know if you are single, these are still such a blessing to know before you get in a relationship. And if you are in a relationship, know that you can still learn and get to know each other. You still have so much growth and there's so much depth to each of you. I hope you continue to learn and grow and get to know each other better over time. Thank you so much for being here on this episode of Monroe Musings. I am so happy to have you. If you haven't yet, please like and subscribe. It helps us grow and reach more people. And I hope you have a fantastic week. Thanks for tuning into Monroe Musings. I hope this conversation gave you permission to trust yourself a little more, to choose your nature rather than culture. If you haven't already, I would so appreciate you to subscribe to the show. And if you would like to explore your own human design chart or learn more about working together, please go to my website. And remember, going against the grain isn't just rebellion, it's coming home.